Hey lovelies! Weeknights in my house are busy, and I'm guessing you can relate. And that's why 15-minute meals like this amazing sun-dried tomato and basil gnocchi are such a lifesaver. Not only does this dish come together super quick, but it also tastes incredibly amazing and is totally restaurant worthy. Just before we get to this, I want to remind you guys that this recipe, like all of my recipes, can be found on healthymealplans.com, our amazing meal planning site that allows you to browse more than 1,000 recipes, drag and drop them into your weekly meal plan, and then automatically generates your grocery list for the week. What could be easier than that? Now, without further ado, let's get to this amazing weeknight wonder, my creamy sun-dried tomato and basil gnocchi. So when it comes to weeknight cooking, I can't say enough good things about gnocchi. Fresh gnocchi, you can usually find it in the deli section at your supermarket, is one of the quickest, easiest, most filling and satisfying ways to get dinner on the table. And this version uses really simple but really high impact flavor ingredients. But the best part is it all comes together in less than 15 minutes. So I'm starting with a nice big skillet on my stove, heating up over medium-high, and I'm just gonna go ahead and add some butter to that. Just as soon as that butter is nice and melted, it's time to add some not Charlotte. You should probably use shallot instead. Some shallot to the pan, and then also some minced garlic. If you don't have shallot on hand, you could definitely use some onion instead, but I love shallot. It's got a bit more of a mild, sort of mellow flavor. And I'm just gonna let that cook up in my butter for maybe a minute or two, just until they start to soften up and get really, really beautifully fragrant. Next, it's time to add another high impact ingredient here, and that's sun-dried tomatoes. Sun-dried tomatoes have such a beautiful flavor, and a little goes a long way. And I'm just going to let those heat through for maybe another 30 seconds or so. And then I'm also going to be adding some wine to this. Now, for those of you who don't drink or you don't like to cook with wine, it's fine, you can totally leave it out. But the wine does impart a really beautiful flavor into this dish that you probably won't want to miss. And so I'm just going to let it cook away for another, say, 2 to 3 minutes, just until the alcohol cooks off and what you're left with is all that gorgeous flavor. So after just a few minutes, we have a ton of beautiful concentrated flavor happening in this pan. And that means it's time to add my liquids. So first up, I've got some chicken broth here. And I'm also going to be adding some heavy cream to this. The cream is gonna give you that rich sort of creaminess, and of course the chicken broth imparts a lot of great flavor and a little bit of that saltiness as well. And then just as soon as that mixture starts to simmer, it's time to add my gnocchi. I'm using fresh gnocchi, which can usually be found in the deli section of your supermarket. You could just as easily use frozen if you wanted to, but you'd have to adjust your cook time accordingly. Literally in 3 to 5 minutes swimming around in that delicious sauce, this gnocchi is fully cooked and nice and pillowy and tender and delicious. The best part is the starch from the gnocchi seeps into the sauce and makes it really rich and creamy. Oh my gosh, guys, my only wish is that you could smell my kitchen right now. Now it's time to add my finishing ingredients, which start with some freshly grated Parmesan cheese and also some fresh basil. And the combination of those sun-dried tomatoes and that basil and that Parmesan really makes something absolutely mouth-watering. We'll season this up with some salt and some pepper, and honestly, it is ready to be devoured immediately. The sooner you eat this, the more delicious it's going to be. This is a totally restaurant-worthy dish. If you don't believe me, try it for yourselves. I hope you love this recipe as much as I do. And if you do give it a try, be sure to tweet me, Instagram me, or Facebook me a photo, because you know how much I love seeing your kitchen creations. Remember, this recipe, like all of my recipes, is featured on our amazing meal planning site, healthymealplans.com, which allows you to browse more than 1,000 recipes, drag and drop them into your weekly meal plan, and then automatically generates your grocery list for the week. What could be easier than that? Thank you guys, as always, so much for watching. And finally, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe because there is lots more deliciousness where this came from.